Hey, it's Barça here, and today's video I'm going to be talking about what Barcelona might have looked like right now and the past couple of years if Neymar stayed at the club in 2017, and also how good Neymar might have been if he had done so. So let's get right to it, because this one will definitely be interesting. So, how did the footballing landscape look the moment Neymar was still at the club? Well, it was 2017 and Barcelona had just had a rather disappointing season, only winning the Copa del Rey. In La Liga, Real Madrid got the upper hand for the first time since 2012, and in the Champions League, the Blaugrana were eliminated by Juventus. The best game of the season was the famous remontada against PSG, where Barcelona turned a 4-0 loss in the first leg around by beating Les Parisiens 6-1 in the second leg. That evening, Neymar rose to the occasion and led Barcelona towards their impossible comeback with 2 goals and 1 assist. The penalty that Messi scored also came after a foul on Neymar. Long story made short, without Neymar, one of the most memorable nights ever in the Champions League wouldn't have happened. Apart from Messi, Barcelona now really had someone else who could lead the team playmaking and scoring wise. And he was 25 years of age at this point, so he even still had the time to get better. And at the start of the 2017-28 season under Ernesto Valverde, I still remember how good he was in pre-season, and how hyped Barca fans were for the coming year. But then what happened, he left Barcelona for PSG. If he had stayed though, just think about how good Barcelona would have been. That season their defense was great with a prime Umtiti and Gerard Piqué. Busquets, Rakitic and Iniesta were still quite a solid midfield, and in attack you had Messi, no explanation needed, and Suarez, who maybe wasn't in his absolute prime anymore, but he could make the difference in important games. That was a great team, but sometimes it lacked someone pacey and creative in attack that could be there if Messi or Suarez had an off day. That player would have been Neymar. If you know how easily Barcelona won La Liga over the three-peat Real Madrid team, just imagine what kind of monster Barcelona would have been with Neymar added to that. And if you remember the game against Roma where Barcelona crumbled in the Champions League, think about what Neymar could have done for the Blaugrana that night. If they had progressed, they could have definitely won against Liverpool and Real Madrid too. And that would have meant a treble. Now, of course, that's in case his injuries didn't happen. But believe me when I say he would have been happier in Barcelona, and that in itself would have made him a more professional player that would have followed a healthier schedule and is therefore less injury prone. Now, this is even crazier, but in the 2018-2019 season, Barcelona got winning 3 games of a treble, being eliminated by Liverpool in the semi-finals of the Champions League and losing to Valencia in the final of the Copa del Rey. Messi carried the team almost on his own that season. In some games, this wasn't enough, and Barcelona needed someone else that could be dangerous from individual actions. Again, Neymar could have been that player. Imagine the game against Liverpool with Neymar. Barcelona would have been more dangerous in the first leg and the score could have been more than 3-0. But especially in the second leg, Barcelona needed someone like Neymar, who could have provided 1 or 2 goals. At last, an astonishing Messi alone proved to be too little to win the Champions League. And do you remember the game against Bayern Munich in 2015? Barcelona won 3-0 with goals from Messi and Neymar. I can guarantee you that the 2019 Barcelona team would have bottled their lead in the second leg in Munich. In 2015, that didn't happen though. Bayern Munich scored 3, but Barcelona scored 2. And it was Neymar twice. The game in Anfield would have looked like that one, I think, with Neymar. He's just someone that has got the ability to stay cold-blooded under pressure. So yes, with Neymar I'm 100% sure that Blaugrana would have won the treble in the 2018-2019 season. It is indeed likely that Barcelona would have won back-to-back trebles if Neymar had stayed. Neymar would have even been better than we've ever seen him. Because for Neymar's own development, staying at Barcelona would have meant he was among stronger competition, and he was in a team that had to really compete in every competition. Unlike at PSG, where it's all about the Champions League. In which one of the 2 clubs do you think a player will improve more? Exactly. So who knows how good Neymar might have been at this point. In the actual reality, Messi was the best player at that moment. But I actually think that if Neymar had stayed, there would have been a moment where he would have surpassed Lionel Messi. Overall, he could never reach Messi's heights, maybe nobody can. But if it's 2019 and you got a 27-year-old Neymar who has been putting in the work to be Barcelona's leading player, and you got a 32-year-old Messi who has to do less on his own, the difference between them won't be that big anymore. Let's face it. Out of all the players, Neymar is the one that could have taken Messi's place as Barcelona's big star. He might have wanted to get out of Messi's shadow in 2017, but if he had stayed, he would have eventually. This was basically Neymar's fate, so by now he might have been the biggest candidate for the Ballon d'Or too. This period in Barcelona's history was meant to be the Neymar era. In the 2019-2020 season, Barcelona would have still been a stronger team than they were in reality, though they would have started to decline with Neymar too. Luis Suarez, Ivan Rakitic and Gerard Piqué are just a few players that were past their prime at this point. At this point, I still consider them the strongest team in Spain, so they would have probably won the 2020 La Liga instead of Real Madrid. In Europe, it's difficult to tell though. They would definitely not undergo big humiliations, but defensively they might have been too leaky to get past teams like the 2020 Bayern Munich. In the 2020-2021 season, I still consider them the best in Spain, but it's not unlikely that after all this success, it will get more and more difficult to keep winning trophies. This goes for La Liga, but definitely for the Champions League. Ernesto Valverde, who will be seen as a club legend now, wow, imagine that, would probably leave too at this point. Managers rarely stay at Barcelona for more than 3 or 4 years. And just to say, Ernesto Valverde was actually a great manager, and he could get the best out of some players like Ter Stegen, Messi, so maybe Neymar too. But by 2021, Barcelona would be a team with or without Luis Suarez. His impact wouldn't be that big anymore. With the 34-year-old Lionel Messi who might have not had to leave, which I'll come back to later in the video, and prime Neymar who's 29 years old and has probably won the Ballon d'Or once or twice by now. So their attack would still be world class for some years. Surely with upcoming players like Ansu Fati who could learn from players like Neymar. Their midfield would have gone through a lesser period with all players who are declining, but by now they would be recovering. And the trio would probably be Busquets, Frenkie de Jong and Pedri. Wait. Defense would be Barcelona's weak point, but after having gone through some Champions League eliminations where players like Jordi Alba committed the fatal mistake, they would be strengthening their defense now too. So at the point we're at right now, you'd have a team that's slowly rejuvenating with players like Ansu Fati, Pedri and Araujo, but still belongs at the very top, because they still have world-class players who can make the difference, like Messi maybe, and Neymar in his prime. You don't need a lot of these type of players to make a big difference, by the way. Look at how Benzema carried Real Madrid to the Champions League victory in 2022. So, in summary, Barcelona's Champions League count will be somewhere around 7 by now. They would have kept on being the dominant force in La Liga in the last couple of years, and also, a lot of unnecessary signings wouldn't have been made and the financial crisis would be nowhere as big as it is today. Let me explain. After Neymar left, the club made 3 huge signings with that money for a big part that were meant to replace Neymar. Ousmane Dembélé wasn't that bad of a signing, but spending over 100 million euros for a player that still needs to prove himself, that was a mistake. Though he might still become important for the club, I think everyone agrees his first years were a failure and he was just an extra burden on the wage bill. Philippe Coutinho was a great player in 2018, but was he a great signing? No. I don't know what the board were thinking, but he wasn't the type of player that fitted into Valverde's system. He was an all-out 10 at Liverpool. At Barcelona, you didn't have that role, and Messi operated in that space most of the time. Neymar thrived as a pure left winger and could stay wide, Coutinho not. Coutinho also earned big wages, of course, as did every player under Bartomeu, so by now you would think that the board had learned from the failure of Coutinho signing and weren't going to spend a huge amount of money on someone who wouldn't fit Valverde's system and wouldn't really replace Neymar. Well, it's Bartomeu, so that's exactly what he did do in 2019. He signed Antoine Griezmann, who is a second striker, a position that you didn't have at Barcelona. As a left winger he was nowhere near as effective. So, though he was honestly decent in his last year under Ronald Koeman where he did play in a more suited role for him, he was another big earner on the wage bill that didn't completely live up to the expectations. Financially, this meant that Barcelona had spent more on a replacement for Neymar than they had gotten by selling Neymar back in 2017. And though Neymar would have probably been on huge wages too, they would have been less than the combined wages of all the players that were meant to replace him. And that's not even the only way in which Neymar staying would have been more beneficial from a financial point of view. With him, Barcelona would have been more successful in all competitions. And I mean, I don't even need to tell you, but of course this would mean they would generate more money. In the first place because of the prize money, but being the best club in the world will also mean that shirt sales will do well. So being successful on the pitch will cause kind of a snowball effect from a financial point of view. Especially if you got big star players like Neymar, the kind of player that everyone looks up to. So by the time COVID came around the door, Barcelona would have been well able to cope with it. And eventually Bartomeu's era would come to an end without any financial crisis, and under Laporta or maybe even someone else like Victor Font, the books would be balanced the right way again. So all of the trouble the board has been in the last year wouldn't have been there. That's why, like I said earlier, Messi wouldn't have had to leave Barcelona and he could have really just stayed a one-club man if he wanted to. This would have also meant they would have had the financial power to compete with other big clubs for big signings, apart from the pulling power that Barcelona has already got. So maybe Erling Haaland would have been a Barca player now, to replace Luis Suarez. Though Lewandowski is a great signing too, and I'm sure he will help the club a lot. Eventually, you get the point, Neymar staying in 2017 could have avoided the financial crisis of the last years. And when it comes to managers, what would have probably happened exactly is that Ernesto Valverde would have left after like 4 years, and Xavi would have probably replaced him immediately then. At least that's what I think. So, what if Neymar had stayed beyond 2017? Barcelona would have been the dominant force in football in 2018 and 2019, and from 2020 up till now they would have been amongst the strongest in Europe. Neymar would have had the same status as Ronaldinho at Barcelona, and who knows, he might even have inherited Messi's number 10 before Ansu Fati did. He would have won the Ballon d'Or at least one time, and people would probably put him in their top 10 players of all time lists. Barcelona wouldn't have been in the financial mess that they've been in the last couple of years, a lot of unnecessary signings wouldn't have been made, and Lionel Messi would even still be at the club today. The footballing landscape would look very different indeed if he had stayed. And if you think about all of this, it's definitely a shame for both Neymar and Barcelona that he chose to leave the club in 2017. Of course, he's one of the top players of this generation, but what a player Neymar da Silva Santos Jr. could have really been. That was it for today's video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and feel free to share your own opinion on Neymar in the comments down below. Força Barça and have a good day.